Hey, Will, thanks so much for being here on the show.
Deepak, it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you a couple of off the cuff questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite book or hobby?
Well, when it comes to hobbies, it's definitely either fishing or hunting. Anything outside is what I grew up doing.
Cool.
Watching football as well.
Nice. What is the hardest part about your job?
The hardest part for me is probably managing my time as a student and being downtown. And other than that, just building relationships and
Nice. If you had a chance to be the governor of North Carolina for one day, what would you do?
for one day. Well, not much gets done around here in one day, as we all know. But say if I had a session to be governor, I think I'd probably put an emphasis on working alongside the speaker and the lieutenant governor during times when we're drafting up the budget. And I think making it more of an open-ended conversation and working together, I think would be better than just sending it to each other's courts.
Why do you think the youth has to be involved in government relations?
I think that's a very interesting question. I think it's really important for the youth to be involved because we are the future, and eventually we will be the people in charge and the people running the General Assembly and need to know how the legislative process works. And by the youth being involved right now, we can take advantage of the mentors that are available and the people with great experience down there. And I've been very lucky to get help from a lot of those guys.
So you are currently a college student, am I right?
Yes, sir. I am.
You're going to NCSU?
I go to North Carolina State. Yep.
Okay.
I'm a
So
senior. I graduate in December.
nice. So how did you get into this field of government relations?
Okay. Well, I came into school playing football originally, and that's what kept up most of my time. And I got into a car accident and got a concussion, had to hang it up. And after that, I kind of needed something to turn toward to fill my time. I was used to be really busy. So started digging, and I'd had some interest in politics. I paged in high school and I applied for an internship in the House and ended up working for the speaker for 2 sessions during my freshman and sophomore year of college. And that kind of gave me an introduction to what the General Assembly is like. And it's been really good.
So if you had to educate the youth, right? I mean, like the way you got into government relations, how would you educate them? You know, the role of government relations and why it would impact their lives.
I think it's important. I think what I would say to the youth is that the things that are happening in this building on a daily basis are incredibly important to every single person in this state. And by being involved, you can sit front row and get to see this stuff happen and even influence it. And I just find that really, really interesting.
And did anything surprise you as far as like, once you started working?
One thing that surprised me switching over from working as a staffer to working as a lobbyist is it's much more conversation based, and it really I just go in there and talk to people, and that's what I do on a daily basis. And it's a lot different than being a staffer and focusing on exact bills and stuff like that, and it's all just conversation based.
And what would you say is the one skill which is essential for someone to be a good lobbyist?
If I had to narrow it down to one skill, I would definitely say relationship building is the most important and communication skills. I think just getting uh, these legislators to trust you and know that you've got good intentions and building relationships with these people, I think is the most important thing you can do.
What is the one thing you would like to share with the listeners which no one else knows about you?
Well, I'm kind of an open book, so most people know me pretty well. But one thing that's a little odd about me, that's not exactly normal, is I am a licensed scuba diver. So that's one of my favorite things to do is going scuba diving. And actually, all four of my brothers, all four of us, actually, my youngest just recently got certified, and my dad's certified, and we something we do together, and we really enjoyed a lot. So
Sweet. And what was the best place you've been to for scuba diving?
my favorite dive I've done so far has probably been the Wall in Cayman, Grand Cayman, and they've got some incredible reefs down there. But I've a lot of different places in the Caribbean. I'd like to travel out and see some more stuff, but for now, probably Cayman, I'd say, is my number one spot.
Nice. How did you get into scuba diving?
My dad actually was a diver, and he got registered or licensed. I want to say maybe when he was in high school, in a rock quarry somewhere near Winston Salem, and he got us into it, and we love it. I mean, it's super fun.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I think I've always wanted to do that, but I've never understood like as to what would be the starting point for that. So maybe we should
Yeah,
have
it's
an
actually
off.
pretty simple to get into, but
Sweet. What was the most momentous thing in your career?
um, well, my career, of course, is still young, but the most momentous thing I would probably say is when the budget passed this summer, we had some things go our way that were really exciting. And for me, just since I've just started doing this in January of last year, and so far that's probably been the most exciting lobbying moment for me.
What is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Mm. Best advice I've ever gotten. Probably just to take things day by day, and because I've David Power has been a great mentor to me, and he gives me new advice every single day. And one thing he said is, you never know what's going to change, and you get down there and you could think one bill is going one way, and all of a sudden it's going the complete opposite way. And I think just taking things day by day and controlling what you can control is probably the best advice I've gotten.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Hmm.
Any three people. Let's skip that one and come back to it.
No issue. What is the most favorite issue you worked on?
Most favorite issue I've worked on is one of our clients is Learning Ally, and they're a resource for children with dyslexia. And I'm just very passionate about that. I find that very interesting and how their resources can benefit these kids.
Okay. And if you had the time capsule to go back in time, which era would you like to go back to?
Probably early 90s, maybe late 80s, I think would be cool. I don't know. I was born in 2001, which is probably maybe one of the youngest people you've had on here. So I don't know. I'm really interested in history, and there's a lot of different times that I would find very cool.
That's interesting. With that, let's go a little bit into your past. Tell us, how was your childhood? Where did you grow up? And
I'm
what were you interested in?
from Durham originally, and I grew up there. And I've got two younger brothers and one older brother. And I had a great childhood. I grew up going to school and very, very interested in sports. I played football all throughout. I think I probably started playing when I was 8 or 9 years old, and all the way up until college. And that was what took a lot of my time. I was always interested in the outdoors. My dad took me hunting and fishing growing up, and some of my best memories are doing that kind of stuff. And just spending time with my brothers was a lot of my childhood.
And were you interested in politics at all?
I was a little bit, and I just didn't know much about it. In high school, I paged for the House and the Senate, and that was probably my first little uh, introduction to politics. And I thought I was going to go a different way when I got to college, and just loop back around, and I've really enjoyed it so far.
So how did you get into that, being a page? I mean, did someone tell you that you can give it a try?
It was a recommendation from my dad. My older brother had done it and he enjoyed it. And it's like you just go spend a week down there and kind of see how it goes, like from a distance. And I found that very interesting just to see how the legislative process works. Because as a freshman in high school, before I'd done that, I didn't know much about it. and I found that very interesting. I had a great time doing it.
And what was your dad's profession?
So my dad's a he's a developer in Southern Durham, and but he's also a member of the North Carolina Board of Governors,
Uh,
and that has introduced me to politics a lot because not that necessarily that he's been in politics, but he's been involved in the state system and the universities, and that's kind of given me a little bit of an introduction as well.
got it. Okay, now that makes sense. So, what got into North Carolina State, and what did you apply for? Which
I
major?
applied originally to be a business major and ended up going into a program called Exploratory Studies, which is kind of like you go your freshman year doing baseline classes and you can transfer into any other college afterwards. And I ended up going into the business school, and I'm actually concentrating in entrepreneurship.
Hmm, very cool. And you are in which year right now?
I'm a senior. I'm on my second or my third year of school, but I'm going to graduate in December.
Okay. And at what point did you feel that you wanted to get into the lobbying world?
Well, so when you intern for one of the members, you get 2 sessions, and I realized that my second session was running out, and I didn't want to leave, and I really enjoyed being down there. So I started just trying to get to know different lobbyists and different people that could potentially um, give me a job. And I knew David Powers well, and he offered me a position, and I've been very, very happy with it.
Very cool. And if someone was listening to this who is currently going to college, what do you think their first step should be to get into government relations?
I think their first step should be to apply to as many internships as you can because there are so many out there. There's new kids walking into the building every day, and people think it's kind of a misconception. A lot of college kids think like, well, the General Assembly is not my place to be. I'm too young. I don't know enough about it, and that's just not true at all. You just have to get down there and just start meeting people, and there's so many different internships, and I think that'd be a good first step. And if for some reason that doesn't work out, just get down there and go shake hands because these people are happy to have conversations with anyone. And a couple relationships can create a lot of new doorways.
Okay. And what kind of policies are you currently working on?
Um, well, one of our big policies that we work for is the sports betting, and we're working on getting that legalized. And that's something that we'd like to see done for our clients. And we also are working on different sides of Medicare, and it'll be interesting as the session cranks up in the spring.
And has there been any challenging issue which you worked on so far?
Some challenging issues. We had a couple setbacks last summer with a couple different bills we were working on, and but it thing you can be told no a lot of times, and things can change, like I said earlier. So we're just gonna go try it again.
Nice. And looking towards the future, where do you see yourself maybe 5, 10 years down the line?
It's really hard to tell. Because I never thought that I'd be here 2 years ago. So 5, 10 years down the line, I'd like to still be working in politics, working in the General Assembly. Hopefully, still working with David Powers, and if not, I'd like to potentially maybe down the road use my entrepreneurship degree to start up a lobbying firm. That's one idea that I've had, but I'm not really even sure. Just kind of see where it takes me.
So do you foresee completing your degree in the business major, or do you want to switch to political science, or what do you think?
Well, I think at this point in time, I'm probably gonna stick it out as I'm on my last few credits. But I never know if I'll go back for a master's and something, but we'll see.
That's cool. And do you have any do's and don'ts of this job you have? I mean, would you say like, hey, this is definitely something you should not do?
So do's and don'ts. I'd say this one kind of connects a do and a don't, but I think something you should do is respect the member's time because these are really busy people. And sometimes I think a don't to go along with that would be just don't be too pushy and understand that if they like your idea, they're probably going to work with you. And if they don't, they may not ever budge. And I think just respecting their time and not overwhelming them and realizing that they've got constituents to deal with and many other lobbyists to deal with and so many issues on their plate at any given moment, and just respecting their time.
Do you think personal politics plays a role in your job?
Honestly, no, I do not think so. I think it can in certain areas, of course, because we've all got our own certain opinions that will drive your motives, whether you want to or not. But personally, I'm a Republican, but we work on issues that are bipartisan, issues that are more blue, issues that are more red, and it goes either way. And I think you have to kind of put your personal politics aside sometimes and work on the best interest of your clients.
Very cool. Any final thoughts or words of advice you would like to share with which I probably would not have touched on?
I just probably to reinforce your questions about the youth getting into lobbying, and I can't support that enough. I've gotten the chance to meet a couple other guys down there my age that are working for different lobbyists, and it's really cool the kind of little relationships we can build through this. And it's I was able to get one of my buddies that I never thought would be interested in politics, and he ended up falling in love with it and getting internships. And it's just, he'd tell you that he's actually a design major, and he'd tell you that anyone should try it and it doesn't matter. And I just think that's really important.
Well, I can certainly say with the dedication and passion you have towards this field, I'm pretty sure you'll go a lot of places in this
Thank you,
field.
Deepak.
And I certainly enjoyed this conversation. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.